the Battle of Alberta. You've been on both sides of that. Is that? I mean, like I watch every time that Calgary and Edmonton play. I try to watch. I'm a bit of a hockey nerd, so I watch a lot of hockey. But what was that like being in Edmonton, and then now you've been in Calgary the last few years? That's a real thing, right? Or
yeah, the last 2 years it's been good. It's funny because my first my years in Edmonton, it was interesting because the Battle of Alberta was there, but it wasn't really as big of a rivalry as it is right now, and I think it took some. And I remember my first year, I think we beat Calgary every single game, and then my second year we both didn't make the playoffs, and then my third year Calgary was really good and we sucked in Edmonton, and so it was whatever.
Yeah.
And then my first and actually ever since I've been in Calgary, it's ramped up because both teams were always competing for playoff spots.
Right.
And so now my first year there, they had the goalie fight and line balls. Some incredible games, and then meeting in the second round of the playoffs last year. So, and you know how it is, just even talking about Boston, Philly, how it was when we played each other. Now that it's back and alive again, I think it's great for hockey. And I think it has people talking about, Calgary and Edmonton more because out east, we're on at 10 o'clock.
That's right.
Eastern time. So we kind of get lost, but now that it's going again, I think it's great to have those rivalries, more rivalries in hockey. So, it was fun to be a part of. It gets kind of crazy, to be honest, because you think about it, it's a, provincial rivalry. It's a 3-hour drive away. The Edmonton fans get right up in your face. I mean, it was crazy. Like when we played him last year in the playoffs, we had like Edmonton fans follow a couple of us around. Like the one guy followed Backlund and on the elevator and not into his hotel room, but right up to his hotel room.
That's ballsy, man. That's ballsy.
It gets kind of crazy, and every time it's at the Dome, I always ask our head of security, how many fights tonight, and vice versa when it's up in Edmonton. But I would say it's probably 65-35 Oilers fans versus Flames fans, just because Oilers had the Gretzky Oilers and the 80s Oilers, so they just naturally have a bigger fan base because of that. Have Connor McDavid, so there's a lot of Oiler fans. Yeah, he's okay.
He's decent. How'd you enjoy playing with him?
150 points this year.
I know, right?
Yeah, you know what? He's great. He's a great teammate. Obviously, unbelievable player. It's just a matter of time until he has, he has that success that he deserves. So he obviously has an individual success, and he's chasing that Stanley Cup. But it's just a matter of time.
Hey, he's fun to watch, man.
Yeah, no doubt. You've had an opportunity to play for some amazing coaches, and obviously Darryl Sutter being your last. We always ask guys that we have on the pod that played for Sutter. Any Sutter stories that are worth sharing?
You know what? He's awesome. He's really great. You know what? He's hard on guys. He's old school that way. He never lets anyone off the hook. That's one of his things. Like, and he's, you know what? Like, even if you're on a winning streak and guys are starting to get a little too comfortable, he'll come and just like, he'll just fuck it up. Like, what do you guys? So like, what do you guys think you're great? Like, but you're just like, but you understand, like, as I've gotten older, you understand, what he's doing. He's always preparing you. He's preparing you for the playoffs. He's preparing you for when games get tough. He's preparing you for when 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 it's crunch time and you need it the most. And sometimes his philosophy is he's going to be the bad guy, so the boys rally together and go out there and do it.
Right.
You get what I'm trying to say?
Yeah,
Yeah.
totally.
Yeah, Chief Craig Berube told us so many stories, but even Brian Boucher does some pretty good imitation of Darryl. With the tie undone, spitting in the floor, down like in the crouch, pointing and shit. Chief said we'd get there early. Chief was always early at the rink when he played. That's how old I am. I actually had Chief as a player, but he's like, we'd be in a locker room, music playing a little bit. I said, "You guys had radios back then when you were playing in Calgary?" He's like, "Yeah, no," but he's like, having a coffee and taping a stick up, and we're laughing about something. Him and another guy, and all of a sudden, Darryl grabs his arm. "What's so fucking funny? Why are you guys smiling?" And he goes, "Holy fuck, it's 3:45. We play at 7, But he loved Darryl. He loves Darryl. But we hear all these funny stories about him. That's why we asked.
You had him twice too, right?
I had him twice now, and you know what? I really enjoy him as a person. I enjoy play for him. And what's funny too is he's actually, he's not what you think he is, because he comes across the way that he does in his interviews and in the media and stuff like that. But he does it because it's almost like a Belichick thing or like a Greg Popovich thing. Like it's like what matters is what matters in the locker room, and I'm not going to give you anything because I don't want other teams to know what we're doing.
It's a game.
And it's great though too. And every morning I'd come to the rink, and he'd always have stuff written all over the whiteboards, and he'd have sayings and numbers and sometimes just one letter, and he'd have it all over. And I'd grab a coffee and I would go and read it all, and I would try to figure it out. I would try to figure out, okay, what's coming today? Like also he's also very smart. Like he sees the game like no one that I've ever played for. Like he could see the other team's neutral zone. If the other team makes an adjustment as far as their neutral zone forecheck or their forecheck or defense or whatever, he sees it on the bench. He doesn't need to go watch video, and he plays, and it's like he's able to make adjustments right on the bench and all that type of stuff. So it's really, like I said, he's not what you think he is because of what you see in his interviews. He's like I said, he's the most intelligent coach that I've ever played for. His motivational tactics could be, especially in today's age, could have been a little bit better. But he is who he is. He is who he is. He's not going to change for anyone. And at the end of the day, like Chief told you guys, you'd run through a wall for the guy. If he called Chief today, Chief would do anything for him. If he called me today, I've been to his ranch. I've been to Viking 3 times to go visit him.
That's awesome.
Yeah, like I said,
cool.
and you know what? Vice versa. If you needed him for anything, he'd be the first one to help you. He's that type of person, and I'm glad that I've gotten to play for him for 3 full seasons, 3.5 seasons.